This is Find Your Dream Job, the podcast that helps you get hired, have the career you want, and make a difference in life. I'm your host, Mac Pritchard. I'm also the founder of Mac's List. It's a job board in the Pacific Northwest that helps you find a fulfilling career. One of the best ways to get good at job hunting is to talk to people who do it well. That's why once a month, I interview a Mac's List reader who found a job they love. Our guest today is Melanie Klym. She's the Northwest River Restoration Director at American Rivers. It's a nonprofit that works to safeguard the 4.4 million miles of rivers and streams in the United States. Melanie joins us from Corvallis, Oregon. Melanie Klym has seen firsthand the difference a network can make in a career. In a story you can find on the Mac's List website, Melanie says that her professional connections helped her pivot from the private to the nonprofit sector and found the job she has today. Why do you love your job, Melanie?
Yeah, thanks, Mac. I love working at American Rivers where I can really use the combination of my talents, skills, and experience to make a really meaningful impact and difference in our communities. Everywhere, in the Northwest, the rivers are so important to our life, to our livelihoods, to our wildlife, to our health of drinking water. And we have about 9,000 dams in Oregon and Washington alone. And many of those are impeding those important river processes that support healthy communities and abundant wildlife. So, in my role as the Northwest River Restoration Director, I get to engage with people and identify dams that are obsolete, no longer serving a purpose, or there's an option to meet the need, like a water diversion in a lower impact alternative. And by restoring the free, cold, clean water by removing the dam, we can have such a positive impact on river health with a really minor intervention.
Well, let's talk about your job search. What was the biggest challenge you faced?
Biggest challenge I faced is that I had been in private consulting for 15 years as a licensed professional engineer and a registered geologist. And making the pivot, I had decided I wanted to scale up my impact beyond the projects I could do as a consultant, and that pivoting to either state service or nonprofit, I'd have the ability to impact at a larger scale, a regional scale. But I had no experience working in either of those sectors. And so it was a pretty big jump into the unknown of going from my entire career in Oregon had been, private engineering into something different. And having the confidence to figure out, what that next thing was definitely the biggest challenge.
And how did you manage that challenge, making that switch from being an engineering consultant to the nonprofit sector?
Yeah, as a consultant and also just as an engaged community member, I've had the opportunity to work with and for many mission-based organizations and many public agencies. And so I pulled on my network. I called up people who I enjoyed working with in my prior role or who I had met through my volunteer efforts with watershed councils or with professional organizations, and just had a series of informational interviews. I kind of reset to what I was doing when I first came to Oregon, which was, it looks like you did something cool. What do you actually do? Do you enjoy what you do? And how did you get to do it? And had some great conversations that really helped guide me to finding where that best fit would be next.
How did you learn how to do that, both at the start of your career when you were coming out of AmeriCorps, and then continue to improve your informational interviewing and networking skills as you move through your profession?
Yeah, I read a lot of research articles. I definitely read some great advice on your website. I take, learning very seriously. I identify as an outgoing introvert. And so calling people up and having conversations is, immensely terrifying. But I also learned through experience that it was very rewarding. And I first started having these conversations when I was an AmeriCorps volunteer, when I hadn't yet made the pivot to private consulting. And I didn't even have an engineering degree at that time. And I met people through the River Restoration Northwest professional organization who were doing great things. And then I found out they were engineers. I was like, oh, okay, then maybe that's what I want to do. But it was really just through practice and having the confidence that these conversations weren't scary. Most people that I was approaching enjoy what they do and are happy to talk about it. And that's something I've learned as I've, progressed in my careers. I'm always happy to have a conversation with an early career professional or someone who's, later in their career, but looking for a pivot and sharing those experiences. So I think the repeated exposure to a very supportive and friendly community made it less scary overall.
In your article for us on the Maxlist website, you also talked about your the value of volunteering.
Mm-hmm.
You got involved with local watershed councils. How did that volunteer experience shape your career?
Yeah, I started out, I came to Oregon as an AmeriCorps volunteer, and it really had that service ethic ingrained in my job at that time. And through that, I met in Portland the Johnson Creek Watershed Council stewards, a really important salmon bearing stream that flows through different counties. And so I could talk all about it. Anyways, started volunteering with them, met some really great community members, and sort of the same thing of like, oh, what do you do when you're not pulling ivy? And then through that, I was invited to join the board of directors, and I served there for 10 years. And actually, being on the board of directors gave me a lot of experience with leadership in a way that I didn't have, in my day job, because I was still pretty new in the engineering community. But in the 10 years that I was in the board, I eventually was the chair of the board. And so I had the experience of convening people and working towards consensus and managing agendas and figuring out if the conversations are going in a different direction, either how to redirect. And I also got a lot of exposure to really great mentors through the volunteering events because we were there with a common purpose. And then it was an opportunity to get to know them and then continue that conversation outside of, the volunteering.
How do you typically work with mentors, Melanie, and how have they helped you in your career, particularly in this recent switch?
Um, I think I've identified mentors as people who are making the type of impact that I want to have, and then approaching them and asking if they'd be willing to have, chats occasionally or meet up for coffee or lunch. And I take seriously when I'm the mentee to provide value back to the mentor. They're making time, they're sharing their experiences, and whether that's connecting them with other people who I might know through my network or sharing articles that I think they might be interested in. I have a pretty strong little leadership book club now going on where we all share book references and ideas and those conversations. So it's definitely a partnership rather than asking for something in the relationship. And I also think it's really important to establish those connections before you need a job recommendation. And so in this current role that I'm in, I had actually reached out to the person who's now my boss and had one of those informational interviews because she had worked at local watershed councils. She had worked at state agencies, and now she was working at a national nonprofit. And those are all things that I was considering in my career pivot. And so meeting with her and hearing about her experiences was really valuable. And I think ultimately, is part of the success of me finding this role at American Rivers.
It is striking reading your story on the website how informational interviews, volunteering, mentors, they all became lifelong career habits for you. And how have those habits, and you touched on this a moment ago, talk about how those habits helped you both here and get the position you have now.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that I really value one-on-one connections. Being an introvert, but no, learning to be outgoing in public situations, I really value the individual follow-up and maintaining that connection. And so having those connections, having access to those leaders in the field when I need advice or when I'm making a big decision about a big pivot, I have a pretty strong cadre of people who I can call up and get their perspectives. I was really valuable early career mentorship was Dr. Janine Castro. She's the founder of the Portland State Environmental River Restoration Certificate Program and big leader at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, like really pushing the advance of river restoration in the region. And the fact that I got to meet her and gain insights about her career, she was the person who told me because I asked her, what would you do differently? Like if you were where I'm at right now, what would you do? And she's a geomorphologist. And she said, well, I think I might become an engineer. And I was like, oh. And so that's what set me on the track. I was in geomorphology and geology, but talking with Janine is what set me on the track to really become the professional engineer and really lead those designs. And she ended up writing a letter of reference for Portland State University, where I got my master's degree in engineering that allowed me to like then become licensed and pursue that career in private consulting. And so last year, when I knew I wanted to make a big pivot, I asked Janine if she'd be willing to talk to me and share her insights and experience. She had worked in the federal service, and her experience in public agencies was really valuable in giving me insights of what that would look like for my next career step.
And how did you know last year that you were ready for a pivot?
I was reaching the point as a senior engineer where my billing rate was such that I didn't have the opportunity to really get out in the field as much and really be hands-on engaged with the projects. And I was getting a little frustrated that because of the billing situation and budgets, I wasn't able to engage with as many partners and projects as I wanted to. And so I knew that if I wanted to be able to get kind of back in the ground level of project development and supporting partners, I needed to do something different. And I didn't know, whether that would be public service, because there's a lot of people in the state, especially, who do that, early project development, early assistance, and connecting with private landowners about projects. But coming at it from a government agency, there's some hesitation for some people of having state agents on their land. And so I decided that on the private nonprofit side, I'd probably have better access to reaching more people and making a bigger impact. And that was my main motivation, was that I felt I have enough skills and experience and talents, and I wanted to use them to really make the most positive impact I could. And I felt that consulting wasn't going to get to the scale of impact that I wanted.
So that's why you made the career pivot. How did you find out about the position at American Rivers?
I've known American Rivers for a long time. Right when I came out to Oregon was right after the Marmot Dam was removed off the Sandy River, and that was a huge, exciting thing. And so dam removal has been on my radar since then. And American Rivers is the national leader in dam removal, so I've been very aware of them. And then realized, when I was ready to make this pivot, that Sarah Deerdahl, is actually, working at American Rivers. And so when I met her for that informational interview, I asked her more about her experience with American Rivers, and she let me know that they were going to be hiring a position and that she, was still working on the position description. The timeline was a little bit unknown, but that really piqued my interest because then I was like, oh, this opportunity might actually really well align with my timeline and my pivot and my transition. And so I became aware of it then. And I also was applying to multiple other positions. I ended up applying to some watershed council executive director positions and then a soil and water conservation district as well. So really different sizes of organizations. The soil and water conservation districts are kind of semi-governmental because they're county tax base association. And then American Rivers was definitely my top choice, though, of having that access to national resources and national impact and bringing that to the states of Oregon and Washington.
So those are things that worked in your job search. Melanie, what didn't work in your job search?
Waiting for positions to be posted. I'm a huge advocate of finding if there's someone who's doing something that you think looks interesting, talk to them and find out, more about that position. I know in private consulting, a lot of the times, most of the hires weren't from posted positions. And so waiting for positions to be posted and being kind of passive and reactive about it, I think is a really ineffective job search strategy. It's very helpful, though, to when you're looking or when you're thinking, and kind of I do this all the time, like I'd been subscribed to your list for a while, even before I decided that I wanted to pivot to nonprofit, because it gave me insights into what types of organizations are hiring, who's growing, what sort of roles are they looking for. And then that could help with those informational interviews of having that connection, having that conversation before a position is posted, because it really helps you decide if it's a good fit, if you want to actually work there. Because when you're applying for a job, you get really excited about the position description and, you kind of have that honeymoon phase, but it's really nice to have insights into the actual organizational culture before you're looking at an application.
Finally, Melanie, what's your number one job hunting tip?
My number one tip is make connections. Make connections with your community, either through volunteering if you have the means, attending professional events, finding people on the website. Many people are really happy to talk about their career experience and help support people, especially in the environmental field, for making an impact. So just find those connections and sustain them.
Thank you for sharing your story, Melanie. To learn more about Melanie Klym's job search, visit maxlist.org/stories. And check out the Max List website for dozens of other success stories. On the second Friday of every month, we add a new interview with a Max List reader who has found a dream job. Go to maxlist.org/stories. In the meantime, thank you for listening to today's bonus episode of Find Your Dream Job. This show is produced by Max List. Susan Thornton Huff schedules our guests and writes our newsletter. Lisa Kislin-Barry Anderson manages our social media and creates our transcripts. Our sound engineer and editor is Anna McLean, and our music is by Freddie Trujillo. This is Mac Pritchard. See you next week.